Well, hello, my little beautiful creatures. I hope you're doing super good today. In this video, of course, I am going to be testing out, trying, reviewing, talking all about the brand new Hourglass holiday palettes. I actually picked up the limited edition customizable owl palette. This one is only available on Hourglass's website, but you can put in any color story you want into the inside. It doesn't come as like a particular singular shade or anything. This is exclusive to the customization option. I picked color story number 1, which is the same as the jellyfish palette. It was such a hard decision, honestly, because I love that jellyfish palette, but since I was ordering from them, I figured I might as well get the limited, version that you can only get when you order from their website and while supplies last and all that stuff. So that's what I got. If you got any, let me know which version you picked out. I really loved last year's version and I picked the elephant palette, not the customizable one, just the elephant color story. I believe this was the light to medium color story, if I'm not mistaken. And this is color story number 1, which is more fair to light. So I'll do some side-by-side swatches so you can see how they look in comparison. I picked this up not only because it goes good with my skin tone, but also I wanted to get some different shades than I got last year. And I think that that was a good choice because they are complementary. They'll work nicely together, but this one definitely offers something different, more marbling, more fun stuff. We're gonna try everything. We'll show you the swatches, all that good stuff in comparison swatches, put it on my face, see how it goes, and I'm ready. And if you're ready, let's go, boo. Boop. First, swatching the palette, I laid everything side by side so you can see the differences and variations between each shade. So we have diffused light and ethereal light, both the finishing powders, both are standard within the Hourglass collection. Then you have the exclusive and new Opal Strobe light, which is a highlighter, really pretty. The two blushes being Rose Fusion, which is a new exclusive shade, and Diffused Heat, which is a classic shade. They actually aren't swatching too different, just one is slightly brighter than the other. And then you have a new exclusive bronzer called Lunar Bronze. So you're getting a total of 3 new exclusive shades within this palette. Let's talk swatch comparisons. Like I said, I believe the elephant palette was color story number 2, where this is number 1 on the top row. As you see, the bronzer is more of a neutral, slightly warm bronzer, but it's really not as warm and orange tone as the elephant one is. The blushes though, the blushes look pretty darn toot and close. I'd say this color story number 1 from the jellyfish collection with my Hour palette, that one is more on the muted, softer tone. The highlight is very different. This one will probably work better for me than last year's. That one was a little bit too deep for me, a little bit more golden. And then same thing with the ambient lighting powders. These ones are more on the fair side, where last year's elephant palette is more for your medium skin tones. Now, listen, I gotta be honest, I have no business buying this $90, okay, it's $90. That's expensive. It's $5 more than last year, but somehow it feels like $1 million more. I had no business buying it because I've almost exclusively been using cream and liquid products all year on my face, barely touching powder, maybe if like I need a little extra blush and it kind of faded off, But yeah, here I am. I'm a sucker. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a sucker. I think it is beautiful. They really knocked it out of the park with this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think. Obviously, we haven't gone to the review side, but I've used these powders for a while now. And I will say I've kind of figured out how to use diffused light better and those ambient lighting powders a little bit better. So I'll show you how I do that. But the blushes and the bronzers, to me, those are what really shine in their formula. I love it so much. So let's start off on my face using bronzer. I haven't done any blush, bronzer, highlight, or anything. I only have my Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop stick on, little concealer, tiny bit of the Hourglass setting powder. But I'm gonna go in with the bronzer called Lunar Bronze. Usually they have such a beautiful glow to their products, which obviously is what makes it so good. The mirror in here is excellent as well. I think my only thing, which is the same complaint from last year's packaging, is I wish they had it a stronger hold on this where it could stay up on its own instead of flopping around. Because like for a $90 palette, that's like a little extra touch that would be nice, because it's such a big mirror, you could have it on your counter and do it if you needed to, if you're traveling or whatever. But that is a beautiful bronze. It is like not too warm and obviously not cool at all. It's not a contour, but it's not coming off orangey. It's just a nice warm tone, leaning neutral kind of bronzer. What do you guys think of that? So pretty. And you got that glow, put a little bit on the forehead, of course. Looking all sun-kissed. Okay, there's that. Let's go in with blush. I'll do one on each side since there are 2 blushes in here. Starting with the Rose Fusion blush. It is such a pretty marbling on there. So gorgeous. I focus my blush right on the high cheekbones. That is so pretty. Sometimes these like rosy shades can turn out really muddy on me since I do have a golden undertone, but this is really nice. Ooh, that's pretty, right? That is pretty. And I'm gonna diffuse the bronzer, so don't worry, don't call me out. It's just, you know what, just wait. I did it on purpose because I want to show you something, okay? But hang on, hang on. Let's go in now with diffused heat, which looks a lot brighter and more glowy even, maybe. Let's see. Definitely brighter. Okay, I'm gonna really build it up on both sides so you can fully see the difference. They don't look a ton different, like not anything crazy different, but both are gorgeous. Of course, you have a nice sheen. It's not glitter. Let's go in with the highlight, which this one is called Metallic Strobe Powder, which yeah, I do believe there's glitter flakes in this one. Oh wow, yeah, that is a bright, blinding highlight, which I'm so not used to with Hourglass. They usually go so soft and subtle. Let's do that. Let's have just this highlight on the one side. You can see that is taking me back to what I used to do. But if you want to soften this is where the ambient lighting powders come into play. So I'm going to take diffuse light on this big fluffy brush right here and say it's too much. You know, you have a little too much contour, a little too much whatever. You can soften it by that and just diffuse it. And then take it down here where the contour's a little bit heavy and see, it just softened that. Brings it all together. So thank you everyone last year for helping me out with that because I was almost using these as like a final step all over powder and it was just too glowy. It was either too glowy or just like texturizing. I didn't really understand the hype, but now using it as like a diffuser, it's an expensive softener diffuser if you go heavy-handed, but it is nice. I will give it that. On the other side, let's go ahead and use Ethereal Light finishing powder. You'll see it's definitely brighter, and I didn't put any highlighter up here, so I'll show you if it can get beefed up a little bit. But see, it kind of like softened that blush away almost, like not totally away, but if you're like, ooh, this is a little too much, these powders work really well for that. And you can beef up some glow here and there. It's not settling great onto my Fenty stick in certain areas. Like it's a little, just suddenly kind of texturized my forehead and nose a little bit. So I don't love that. But let me see if I can take, sometimes I take these two and I use them as a highlight. That's a more subtle highlight. No, this one, see, this one's not coming up as much as the Elephant palette did. But you have a little bit there. It's more of a sheen instead of like a traditional highlight. If you want traditional highlight, you can use that side of the palette or even mix the two. You can do that, you know, play a little artist right there and pop it right there. And oh, that right there, that combo is perfect for me. It's not as like intense while I diffuse that side. Not as intense as it originally was, but softer. So you get a little bit more glow, but not too much. I'm gonna use my phone really quickly so you can really see the blushes up close. I know the lights can sometimes wash things out a little bit. Okay, so here is everything. Phone is a little bit less forgiving, but you can see the coloring a little bit better. See the bronzer, it's more of a warm neutral. And then the blushes, you can see that side, it's definitely more muted down. This side's a little bit brighter, but really pretty. I can have that glow now. You can definitely see it. You see how I put it all over and then texturized my nose and forehead? It's kind of weird. Might not play well with my Fenty stick, so I might use it on different days, but the coloring overall of this one is really pretty. Just as you would expect, nice glow factor with everything. Just $90, man. With that said, $90. It's a lot, okay? Do you need it? Listen, if I wasn't filming videos, if I wasn't doing this thing as my job, I wouldn't have gotten it this time, even though the palettes are so beautiful. But again, I have a perfectly still intact one from last year, as well as a little trio that I got at Ulta that is you know, it's all between the three of these, like I have everything that I need from them. So take that into consideration. Is it a need? Is it really like a really big want? Did you miss out last year and you want to get it this year? Then great. Are you just a collector? Then great. So you got to kind of decide that for yourself. Only I think 2 of these shades are exclusive or new to this palette. But if you don't have any of their previous palettes and you are considering getting some of the ambient lighting, especially the blushes and the bronzers, I love the 2 blushes in here. I think they're both beautiful. If you're trying to do that, this is cheaper to do it as a palette than buying them individually, and they last forever. So even though the sizes on these are a little bit smaller than their individual ones, you're never gonna use it up. So that's like my thing, is if you want that exclusivity, limited edition, or you just want a palette with most of the shades that they carry year round in it, but you don't want to individually buy everything, go for it. Okay, hey, editing Ashley over here. Sorry, I'm in the middle of processing my hair color, but I actually filmed this video about a week ago, so I've actually had time to use this palette more, to really think about it, especially at that $90 price point. I can't stress that enough, $90. And what I realized is, like, I feel like for $90, these blushes are far too similar, you know, like, and I was editing the video and I was finalizing everything. I'm just like, you know what? It's hard to tell a difference. And I just feel like for $90, I wish there's more variation. They look so different in the palette. Like, look at that. Looks so different. However, I think because you mix them, so that together mixes and then that mixes, you just get 2 similar of shades. And then also I thought was interesting that these powders, the ambient lighting powders, are way more dusty looking than any of my previous ambient lighting powders. I have the diffused powder, which is that top one, in a separate palette, and it has more of a sheen. So these are more subtle. Some may like that more, some may like that less, but I just found that kind of weird. I don't know if formula is different, but I just wanted to kind of, you know, have you guys consider that when you're thinking about purchasing this. If you love it, get it. It is beautiful. Just know that the blushes that you're getting in here, for some reason, are showing up almost the same on the skin tone. Like I said, when you saw the camera, like, one is a tiny bit brighter, but the tone is overall the same. It would have been nice to have some variation in there just because of different price points. And one's not shinier than the other. They both look the same. Oh, I wish they had that. I wish that wasn't so, but I just want to update you guys because $90 is a lot of money. However, it does look really nice on my skin for a powder. I think it is really pretty, but if you already have these palettes from the past, I don't think you'll be missing out. Thinking about collecting, look at the other color stories too and see how the variation is. I haven't checked out anybody else's yet to see that, but just so you know, for the jellyfish palette, that's what's going on there, color story number 1. But anyways, thank you so much for stopping by today and checking out my little review and try on of this palette. Make sure you subscribe before you go, and also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at ashleyellix for some extended content, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.